In the event it doesn't let people in, we might want to consider switching the laptop that's on the podium, just so the podium speakers don't have to watch the lobby.
Great. So
No, I just want to walk.
We have one. Other ones have all been on it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's,
We'll see. We'll see.
Ticket. Get it in.
I will take roll call of the policy committee members.
Pam,
Yes.
Bill should start.
Good evening, everybody. I open the January 26th, 2023 public hearing for the draft of WinLac Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. The Policy Secretary will preside over these proceedings. So go ahead, Ben.
First, we'll take the roll of the policy committee members. Houston County, Bob Schultz.
Present.
Olmsted County, Brian Mueller.
He is trying to attend remote. So, okay.
Olmsted Soil and Water, Cheryl Winters here. Rook River Soil and Water, Jerry Welke.
Here.
Stockton Rolling Stone, Minnesota City, Michelle Finke.
Not present.
Bob Walkus, Wabasha County.
Present.
Wabasha County Soil and Water, Lynn Zabel.
Present.
City of Winona, I'm Pam Iden. Winona County, Chris Meyer. Present. Winona County Soil and Water, Bill Rokan.
Present.
So we have, do we have
We have
a quorum?
eight,
We have a
yes.
quorum. Okay, two people are absent, but we still have a quorum. And so now we will, this policy committee will now start the public hearing on WinLac Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan in compliance with One Watershed, One Plan operating procedures approved by the Board of Minnesota and Soil Resources. But first, we will receive a presentation on the draft plan.
Welcome, everybody. Hope you grabbed a treat as you came in, and there's plenty of water out there. And my name is Sheila Harms. I'm the water planner for Winona County. And I am presenting to give an overview on the draft plan with Terry Peters, District Manager of the Wabasha Soil and Water Conservation District. And also with us will be Della Young with Young Environmental. And just to give you an overview, this is the presentation for the draft WinLac plan. And this is a program that's under the state's One Watershed, One Plan program. You might see that as 1W1P, just to let you know what that is. And WinLac happens to stand for, it's short for the Mississippi River, Winona, and La Crescent watersheds. And who is all involved? We have 10 local government partners that are involved in this process. We have the 4 boards of commissioners from 4 counties and their respective soil and water conservation districts. We have the Stockton, Rolling Stone, Minnesota City Watershed District, as well as the city of Winona. The watershed area covers 480,000 acres. And involved in this planning process, we have 3 committees. We have the policy committee, which consists of the elected officials or appointed officials from each of the 10 partners. The policy committee are the decision makers on the content of the plan. Also involved, we have an advisory committee consisting of the state agency folks that are related with water in the state. We have nonprofits and we have citizen groups. And so we have that, and then also within that committee is the planning work group. The planning work group is simply the staff members from each of the 10 partners involved. And the key point here is just want to let you know that the planning process, we've been doing this for many months, and we've been getting input from a lot of different groups and a lot of different perspectives. In addition to the committees, we also work to try and get from many different ways or different means, input from the community. We started off with a public kickoff meeting in September of 2021, and 90 people attended that, and that was at the Town Center here in Winona. We also had waterside chats, and those were smaller group settings. We had them throughout the watershed, and those were scheduled in March and in April of 2022. And overall, we had nearly 100 people in attendance at those events. And we also, at the same time, had We Are Water. The city of Winona was able to host that exhibit from Minnesota Humanities and the MPCA, and it was on display for 2 months. In addition to those that attended the exhibit at the History Center, we had several other related water events, and we had 600 people that attended those events during that time. We also had set up a website, the WinLac Partnership website, to keep people up to date on what we are doing with the planning process. And as you came in, there were some business-sized cards that have that website address if you want to see what's going on with that. And so we've been placing all the pertinent information with the planning effort on that website. And we also conducted in-person and online surveys. The policy committee early on felt it was important to establish mission and vision statements. And this is what they came up with after hashing it out for a couple of meetings. They decided that they wanted to provide the citizens of this watershed with clean water, balanced ecosystems, sustainable farmland, and diverse, healthy communities through this watershed plan once it's implemented. And further in the vision statement, they wanted to really emphasize that this is a collaborative effort working together, and they wanted to develop an active, relevant plan. And the main thing is they did not want to have a plan that was sitting on the shelf collecting dust. So what is one watershed, one plan? Well, the Board of Water and Soil Resources is the state agency that oversees all planning efforts, whether they're involved with the watershed, one watershed, one plan, or other planning efforts. And the Board of Water and Soil Resources, they have developed the policies for plan content and operating procedures. But within that framework, the locals for each of the watersheds that are involved with one watershed, one plan, they develop their own plan. It's locally led and supported. And looking at the map on the left is what the state of Minnesota water plan looked like before one watershed, one plan. You can see that all the boundaries are very politically oriented. And then looking over at the right, this is what the one watershed, one plan Minnesota map looks like. And so we have all these watersheds transitioning to one watershed, one plan. The plan boundaries are following watershed boundaries, so that what the plan effort will look at how water flows across the landscape, and irregardless of those political boundaries. And so the one benefit this does is we're looking at the whole watershed systemically, and also we are, it helps to promote collaborative efforts among the local partners. And this is a good time to talk about what one watershed, one plan is not. It is not by default establishing a new layer of government. There are some watersheds that have been doing this effort. They did decide to join, develop and form a joint powers board. This policy committee has decided not to do that. They want to stay at the collaborative level. And so, and what that does is it focuses on existing local partnerships and collaboration efforts through the planning process and the implementation. One Watershed, One Plan and the WinLac is not a regulatory program. Within the WinLac plan, we do have a section of the plan that describes what the local controls are. For example, the septic system program that's run by the state or the counties. So they describe what those are, but the plan itself, the priority issues and the actions that are developed in the plan are not regulatory. Instead, focuses on voluntary actions. And the WinLac plan is not a technical report. I know that there are some reports that get a lot of technical information embedded into the plan, but the WinLac plan does not have that. We did reference those technical reports when we were developing the priority issues and identifying where those hot spots are within the watershed. But those technical reports and the data of those reports are not in the plan, but they are referenced in the appendix. And we wanted the plan to be not technical oriented, but more people oriented, something that's a little bit more engaging to read and understand what we're trying to get to, just simply stating these are the priority issues, these are our goals, and this is what we're going to do about it. And how is One Watershed, One Plan different from any previous water planning efforts? The big thing about One Watershed, One Plan is once our plan is approved, we will be having funding dollars available to us. And this is non-competitive funds that we don't have to spend staff time working up proposals for. And the funds are that we do get can go to practices on the ground for implementation. And also it's a plan that identifies what those goals are, they are measurable, and we also list how much it'll cost to implement these different actions. So looking at the planning process, we've been at this for 2 years. We actually started with the policy committee effective, and trying to do outreach by July of 2021. And this slide shows the major milestones that we had to complete before we progressed to the next step. And the first thing we had to do is we had to identify and prioritize issues. We used existing plans, data sets, reports, and any data that we could get our hands on. And they were synthesized and came up with a list of 34 priority issues. And then we vetted that through the committees. And then after that list was established, then we prioritized it. And we ended up with priority A, things that we're going to do right away. Priority B, we're going to do these things within the 10-year plan. And C are the items that didn't really fit in what the local entities are involved with, but could be addressed through the A or B priorities or with nonprofits. The second step is we had to identify where those issues are most important, and we used some modeling efforts to hone in to find those hot spots in the watershed. And then after that, we had to set goals. And the goals, I might add, were identified by looking at the 10-year time span and how much money we were anticipating getting under the clean water funds through the One Watershed, One Plan program. So depending on how much money we got, determined what the goals were set at. After the goals were set, then we had to define or identify what actions, what are the things that we're going to do to achieve those goals. And so we have many tables of action items. We have, I think, 17 action items for each of the 4 planning regions. And I think it's 53 watershed-wide action items. And then tonight, here we are at the formal review and public hearing stage or milestone. In August, we sent out, or we had an internal review with the committees. And then comments were submitted and we went through those comments and reviewed and made edits to the plan as appropriate. And then October 5th through December 5th, we had the 60-day formal review. And this was open up to the state agencies and anybody else who was willing to make comment on the plan. And so we did that. And at the table back there behind Wanda, we have some of those copies. And then here at the front table, we have 11 by 17 copies of the comment response tables. And I think there's enough for everybody. You can grab those. The other ones are letters that were submitted, and then the comments that were the response letter to that comment from each of the 5 agencies, state agencies that submitted comments, as well as private landowners and nonprofits. So those are all on those tables, and I only printed 5 of each of those. So you're free to look at those, but maybe not till the end of the night. You can take them home if you want. And then also we have the executive summary from the plan is also available, and there's enough for everybody of those. So that gives you an idea of what we're at, but just to let you know that each time we had a review, we went through those comments and we did make adjustments to the plan to account for some really great suggestions. And then we accounted whether we accepted it or we know that doesn't fit in the plan. For example, there might have been something that someone recommended that was more regulatory in nature that is not going to get included in the plan. So that's where we are right now. And this evening, we have the public hearing. So the public hearing, we will accept written comments and we will accept verbal comments. And all comments will be recorded and filed with the record.
I'm Terry Peters from the Watershed WCD, and I'm also trying to make sure that I'm letting people on the Zoom meeting into and dealing with all kinds of new technology tonight. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the partnership process and how we worked. In developing the plan, the meetings with the public were important for helping identify our priority issues and actions to improve the watershed. Initial public outreach efforts focused on answering the following questions. We asked, what issues are important? Where are those issues important? And what actions are needed to fix those issues? So we're talking about what issues are important in your area. What are you noticing? What actions would you like to see done? And we looked at more than surface water issues. We considered kind of all issues that people brought up impacting the landscape. Once the priority concerns were identified, we grouped them into categories and generally fell in the following categories: groundwater, surface water, land use, and habitat and recreation. And throughout the plan, each of priority concern and related actions are labeled within under one of these categories. Partnership that we were working with acknowledges that not all issues can be addressed within the 10-year time frame, and not all can be worked on at the same time. The plan, like Sheila said, has 34 priority concerns which needed to be prioritized, that ended up coming out of all of the comments. The prioritization work considered cost and feasibility, as well as the importance of the issues. This slide shows the 10 priority A issues. And these are the most important issues that will be addressed first in the lifespan of the plan. Priority B issues will be addressed within the lifespan of the plan, but are less priority. And priority C issues are addressed through partner groups, and they may be a secondary benefit to either priorities A or B. Once the goal was established, then the partnership needed to identify where in the watershed those goals would be focused. And that was determined by available data, reports and results from models and local expertise. Looking at options to implement soil health, this map shows higher priority areas, say, that should be targeted in the Whitewater watershed and Garvin Brook watershed, as shown in the pink. The next step was included identifying specific actions that were needed to fix those issues. The plan includes 73 different actions. And on this list, implementing cover crops is an action that helps us, one of the actions that helps us reach our soil health goal. This slide is a screenshot of an action table developed for the Whitewater watershed. We did tables like these for each of the watershed areas that were divided out. At the bottom of the slide is a scale showing what portion of the overall soil health goal should be placed within the Whitewater. Soil health goal for Whitewater is 4,500 acres, nearly half of the 9,100 acre goal for the entire WinLac. In addition to action tables for each of the 4 planning regions for the WinLac, the plan also includes a watershed action table. This table has 56 actions that have specific goals, timelines, and anticipated costs that are associated. As Sheila had mentioned earlier, she went through the planning process, and we are now at the final stage of our 2-year planning process and the formal review. I'm going to turn it over to Della.
All right. Oh, look at that. All right, I'm Della Young with Young Environmental Consulting Group. I'm going to ask you to forgive me because I just got progressives. So I'm trying to figure things out. So if you see me watching my step, it's because of that and moving my glasses. It's not that I'm trying to, it's progressives. Forgive me. All right, so we are at the point for you to give comments. As Sheila mentioned, we had that formal review period where, can you go to the next slide, please? The formal review period went from October 5th, 60 days, to December 5th. We wanted you to review the plan and give us every comment you could think about. And we got a good number of comments which have been addressed. As Sheila mentioned, it's on this 11 by 17 in the back and up front here. We received comments from the Board of Soil and Water and Soil Resources, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, the Minnesota Department of Ag. I am going to read out the acronyms because I don't know if everybody knows the acronyms, okay? If I stumble, y'all tell me what's correct. All right, Minnesota Department of Health, Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, Minnesota Center for Environmental Advocacy, and also the Minnesota Well Owners Organization, and then lastly, landowners. We received those comments and diligently responded to them. Next slide, please. So now we're here tonight for the other part of the public process, giving you who have come tonight the opportunity to provide comments. I'm going to read the rules of the meeting. I don't expect to have any issues, but it's always important to make sure everybody's on the same page in terms of what the expectations are for the night. I'm going to be sitting over here. We will have a timer, which you will be able to see. When the timer goes down, it's 3 minutes. When it goes down to 3 minutes and you're done, or to 0 and you're done, please exit gracefully. I have this thing here. I do not want to use it. Please. Please don't let me use it tonight. I've used it once and that's enough, okay? So let me just tell you a little bit about this process. This is a public hearing. that this policy committee is really giving you the opportunity to express your opinion, right? You've been given the 60 days. Please make sure that I suggest that you focus in on new comments. But it is your right to give comments, right? The policy committee will deliberate, they will listen, they will not engage or respond, all right? So with that, if you're wishing to speak, I'm going to be listing the names of folks, so I've got a list. I'll be saying the names and then you can start coming and taking order. So the timing is really important because I don't want people standing for too long, right? When you testify, when you come to give your comment, there's no yielding. You can't say, I'm gonna give my time to somebody else or anything else like that. Thank goodness we're not in the legislature or some house. So definitely no yielding. I ask you to identify yourself again. I'll say your name and forgive me if I say it wrong. Please come up, say your name correctly, and give us your address so we can make sure we can identify you when we receive and file the comments for record, all right? Please direct your comments to the committee. It's just the best way to do things, and they're here to hear you, and they're here to listen. So direct your comments to them, and that's why we have the mic right here, so you can talk to them. All right. Last thing, it's not the last thing, but the second to the last thing. I ask, I always have to say this, even though I know we have friends in the room. So, but please be respectful of the committee, right? No foul language, abusive language, or anything else like that. We're all working people trying to do the best, and we have done the best with this process. So please respect our committee, because they're here to hear you, all right? And again, I'm gonna remind you that they're not gonna respond to questions. They're just gonna listen and take in the comments. All right, so with that, I'm gonna give you the speaking order, and then we'll go from there. All right? So,
We did not.
oh,
Yeah, I think we have to open the hearing.
open the meeting. Thank you. Sorry for that. So, Madam Chair?
So is there a motion to open the hearing for public comment? Meyer, so
I second.
okay. Okay, and let's see, second. Bill, yeah, Bill Rocamp has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we can now take a roll call vote to open the public hearing. Bob Schultz?
Yes.
Cheryl Winters? Yes. Jerry Welke?
Yes.
Michelle Frisbee? Bob Walkus?
Yes.
Lynn Zabel?
Yes.
Chris Meyer? Aye. Bill Rocamp?
Yes.
And lastly, Pam Heiden. Yes. The public hearing for the draft WinLac comprehensive management plan is now open to the public. As each person presents his or her comments, I ask that you state your name and address before commenting. You have 3 minutes to speak. And now I'll turn it back to Bella to manage the comment period.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, we did receive one sign-in online, and Sherry Hales will be the first person, and then Paul Schulmeyer.
Close enough.
Thank you. Forgive me. And then Kelly Stanich. Oh, look at that. All right, so those are the next three. And once you come up, we'll go from there, and then we'll have the next three. You can come up to the mic. I will turn it on. And
Sheree Hales.
let me try it one more time. All right.
My name is Sheree Hales.
All right, since that's not gonna work, let's try this. How about that? It's green, but it's not. It's on. Yeah. You can go ahead with that.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So this doesn't work, I take it.
Yeah, that, he's gonna
Okay.
get that working.
All right, well, I'll try this again. My name is Sheree Hales. I live at 511 East King here in Winona. And I appreciate the opportunity to hear more about the plan and the efforts of all of you over the last couple of years on it. I lived rurally for a lot of years, and my issue has been groundwater for a long, long time. I participated in the Department of Ag's township testing program in 2017, and my well tested clean and safe, and I felt lucky, but a lot of other people weren't quite so lucky. There are 4 townships in western Winona County: Fremont, Utica, Warren, and St. Charles, which tested above the 10 milligrams per liter, and 5 more townships that tested between 5 and 10 milligrams. Drinking water with nitrates harms fetal development and is linked to a number of different cancers. Many studies have shown that 10 milligrams is no longer adequate to assure safe water, and the standard should be lower. Testing by the Minnesota Voluntary Nitrate Monitoring Network, which is overseen by the Department of Ag, found that 21% of the wells that were tested in Winona County were above the 10 milligram limit. This was the highest percentage of the 9 counties that were tested in this program. The second round of testing by the Department of Ag in the township program found that 81% of the wells that were tested contained pesticides. It's estimated that 4,200 residents in Winona County rely on private wells, and the testing that I mentioned above represents only a portion of the existing wells. But there are strong indication of water quality in the many wells that haven't been tested. Winona County's comprehensive plan states as its first goal, ensure a potable drinking water supply for all residents of the community. And the comprehensive local water management plan states, all Winona County residents have access to safe drinking water. Clearly, this goal is not being met. I feel that the WinLac Watershed Management Plan, as currently drafted, will not remedy this serious public health issue. This isn't a problem to be addressed gradually over 10 years. With many people involved, the need is much, much more immediate. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And should we can have this?
All right, thank you. Paul?
There you go. Thank you for bringing the public to this venue to listen and offer their comment. Paul Schulmeyer, 322 High Forest Street. For the record, I'm also married to Commissioner Meyer. I'm also a former soil water supervisor and former city council member here in Winona. Thank you for bringing the public to this venue to listen and offer their comments on this very important plan. In Winona County and the other counties that are in the Druftless area here, we care about water, and it's important that we listen to public concerns. I want to encourage this committee to seriously consider the comments and concerns expressed by the Minnesota Well Owners Organization. They have conducted a considerable review of this plan and submitted survey results from the University of Minnesota Center for Changing Landscapes. While the WinLac plan does attempt to address some of these deficiencies, it does not and perhaps cannot meet the demands addressed without significant additional resources, meaning dollars and training from the Board of Soil and Water Resources and the Minnesota Department of Ag. And I hope Bowser and MDA are listening. In short, it seems the plan is as good as we can get, and it's imperative we submit our plan so funds can be appropriated for the work to begin. Second, I hope the committee addresses these shortcomings mentioned above, and that Winona County, as well as the other 3 counties within the WinLac 1W1P plan fully fund their collaborating soil and water conservation districts and request from Bowser to fund and train the specialists and provide supplemental program dollars needed to fulfill the WinLac 1W1P plan. Finally, I would like to suggest that the risk of fluoride contamination for surface waters in the watershed be recategorized to the priority B list. As you know, fluorides are heavily used in our region to improve road traction and driving safety. Unfortunately, the overuse of fluorides, also known as de-icers, are impacting our surface water biology. Reducing these impacts should be a priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly?
Good evening, Kelly Stanage, 31775 Highway 76 in Houston, but I'm in Winona County. I would like to thank all of you for the hard work you put into this plan. I'd especially like to thank Sheila Harms for her leadership on this project. It's very important work and not at all easy. Unfortunately, this plan misses the mark. Without a laser focus on safe drinking water, the plan does a disservice to folks in this area. Notice I said safe and not clean or even good tasting. And when I say safe, what I mean is it won't kill babies. Seem extreme? Well, it is. An extreme health risk to infants is exactly the reason the EPA set the health risk limit of 10 parts per million for nitrates in drinking water over 60 years ago. In the last 60 years, however, numerous other serious health risks have been identified by the National Cancer Institute at levels above 5 parts per million. These include colorectal, thyroid, ovarian, and bladder cancers. Other studies have identified birth defects, low birth weight, and miscarriage associated with nitrate levels as low as 1 part per million. According to the most recent test by the Minnesota Department of Ag, Winona County has the worst nitrate contamination of the 9 counties in southeast Minnesota tested, with Wabasha running a close second and Houston not far behind. One well in the 2021 study had nitrates of 24.45 parts per million. I calculated out over time how long it would take using WinLac's planned nitrate reduction of 4% per year. It would take over 2 decades for that well water to be down to what the EPA deems safe. But the WinLac watershed plan is only a 10-year plan. Municipalities are having to dig extra deep wells to escape the contamination. These projects are extremely costly, they don't address the underlying problem, and they cause enormous financial burden for the taxpayers living in these very small rural towns. Any plan in this watershed should have a laser focus on cleaning up our groundwater, our drinking water in rural areas. Everyone deserves safe drinking water. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the next 3 we have on the list would be Tim Arns, Jeff Broberg, and Andy, I cannot. Ventura, thank you.
Sorry about the handwriting. Hi, my name is Tim Ahrens. I'm at 12969 County Road 31, Elmira, Minnesota. And I'd also like to thank you for all the hard work that went into this plan. I think it's really kind of a process for our community of understanding kind of the depth of the problem we face. And I think it starts to do that. And I know that you've put a lot of work into it. And I know that there's a lot of concerned people in the audience too, and I appreciate that. Something that I did want to mention, of course, I too am think that the main concern and trajectory of this plan needs to be safe drinking water. Lately, some of the most acute lead indicators of land management practices that may not lead us to safe drinking water were evident in fish kills. I think along with the good work is a beautiful logo, featuring which is a trout. And when I looked at the stream management portion of the plan, I noticed that expressly, the plan decides to leave out a measurable goal related to fish kills. And I think it's important because our trout streams can be our identity to the national public. When we've experienced, fish kills in recent years, we've seen the outcry from everywhere, and we've seen, hundreds of residents petition for something to change. I guess my hope is that if we can set a goal around fish kills, that the items in that logo may still be as relevant and as appropriate in 10 years as they are today. There's also something that this may not be something that you consider for this plan, but I did notice a comment about the size of duismas and a response that is handled by the Minnesota Department of Health. While I understand that, I hope that this plan can also be a call to some of those departments to maybe improve their practices and standards. I know that in Lewiston, there was a deeper well and that duisma shrunk to smaller than the size of the municipality. And we're seeing now that, Utica is working on a well project because of nitrate issues, and that duisma is set to change. Now, if there hasn't been a change in pollution on the surface, there's only been a deeper well that pollution will take a longer time to reach. So we need management around those major pieces of drinking water access for a lot of people. Since I have 22 seconds, and I just hope you can hear it, along with those duismas, that municipality in Utica is also subject to the nitrate management rule and groundwater protection rule. And that's on pause right now, waiting for the change in duisma from a potential well. Now, the conditions that make you subject to the nitrate management rule, pardon me.
Thank you. Jeff, Andy, and then Michael Bush. And as Jeff makes his way down here, if there are individuals on the virtually who would like to speak, or others who would like to put their name on the list, please do.
Thank you. Jeff Brover, for the record. I think limiting this to 3 minutes is impairing public comment. I want that to be on the record. I think there's more to talk about in a plan like this than 3 minutes allows. My name is Jeff Brover. I live at 11596 Persons Drive, St. Charles in Elba Township. I have a 170-acre farm there. I'm a licensed professional geologist. I committed my career to environmental risk management, and I've committed my retirement to non-corp career in protecting water. I'm here today because I have a 400-foot deep well with 17 parts per million. I haven't been able to drink my water for over 20 years. There's no point in drilling deeper where I live because it's also contaminated. We have an issue that hits me where I live. I'm here tonight to speak against adopting the plan. There's 10 reasons. How do you take the life out of water? You ignore the connections. You ignore the fact that everybody, all of us, are connected to our water, whether it's our drinking water, our surface water, whatever it is. And if you ignore those connections, we're not going to make improvements. We've ignored in the plan, I believe, the physical things. We don't have an adequate assessment of the karst and the fact that in places like my farm, the water does not leave on the surface. The water goes into a rocky ravine and I hear a big sucking sound. I'm drinking that water days or weeks later. You ignore risk management. Risk management is about understanding failures and preventing them in the future. And we have so many failures in western Winona County, it's almost uncountable. Fish kills, business contaminated, needing to drill new wells, 50% of people drinking bad water. We're ignoring the risks. We need to address how to prevent those. You fail by relying on uninformed advice. We have all kinds of problems here in this plan. I see lists of programs that are in name only. They aren't effective. They don't do anything. They give you comfort that you were doing something, but they don't. We rely on models that don't fit. This PTM app model is an edge of field model. It does nothing to protect our groundwater. It doesn't even assess it, and it shouldn't be allowed. We lower our standards to achieve the results. We heard it earlier, we're chasing the money. We want free, non-competitive money, but we're not looking whether we can be effective with those results. And then we ignore scale. The notion that 8 nutrient management plans a year and 500,000 acres would do anything is ridiculous. We need 80% of people to volunteer to do those management plans. We fail to ask for more help. We fail to build a foundation. We don't have a grasp, and we set insignificant goals. And finally, we put lipstick on a pig. Don't adopt this plan.
Thank you. We have Andy Ventura and Michael Bush.
Hello. Andy Ventura, 764 West Broadway, Winona. And I first got involved in this by reading about the fish kills, then contaminated groundwater with nitrates and other pesticides and so forth. My concerns above and beyond what's already been spoken here is the wild card of climate change and how accelerating climate change can put a monkey wrench in every single plan that might come about. And the forever chemicals, which have been kind of saturating our lakes and streams and soil. So that's pretty much, I concur with what's been said, but there are other factors that we need to look at. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then Michael.
Michael Bush, 24208, County Road 17. I haven't read over all your plan and stuff, so I'm just gonna make general comments of what I've observed over the years. Back in the 60s, they put dams in Pleasant Valley. There was cost sharing on that. That made a world of difference in that creek. And water in general, I always said you can't stop the water. You just gotta make a place for it to go, or you build a road or a house or maintaining the stream or whatever. And of course, the other thing is we got to keep the water clean. I sometimes think, and I mentioned this to a DNR official one time, I said, why don't you have cost sharing on fixing these creeks? I said, you get all kinds of people. Oh, he says, we wouldn't have enough money to do that. I said, you got enough money to buy the creek and then do it. They could make the money go a lot further if they do cost sharing. Another way to keep the cost down for putting riprap in, they could use jackhammer concrete. They could fix a lot of problems really cheap. Another thing I observed is, I think during that 2017 flood, there was a city come out my way, and right away they said, well, those dams that were put in, they made 2 of them worthless, useless. There's too many politics involved sometimes. We need to go back to common sense. What else did I do? And of course, any plan you have, it needs to be flexible. You can't come up with one set of rules that matches every problem. So there's got to be flexibility in whatever you do. And just an idea I noticed there, maybe they should have cost sharing on septic systems. Maybe that would be a better way to get them done and get them done right. Because otherwise the cost is so high that people try to avoid it. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, that concludes the sign-in list. If there are others that would like the opportunity to speak, please let me know, raise your hand and I can come over. And with that, I will also check in with Rachel. Is there anybody online? Susanna White, come on down. What is your name? Dan Wilson. And then we have, what's your name? I'm gonna kill your name. Got it. Anybody online? All right, Madam Chair, we have two more. We have Dan Wilson and Vonnie Wilczynski. Did I say that right? Right. Thank you.
First of all, thank you all for being involved in this project. This is not a really fun way to spend an evening listening to people tell you what you should be doing differently. So thank you for all the hard work that you've put into making a really comprehensive and great plan. I think looking at groundwater in terms of watersheds is the right way to look at it. But this is a non-binding aspirational plan. So give us something to aspire to, right? Like, let's commit to solving our problems with groundwater and nitrate contamination. Let's commit to solving problems with fish kills. Let's have a plan that puts us on that path instead of something that doesn't actually solve those problems. So thank you all so much. And I think we should have a better plan that gives us something to aspire to.
Dan, can you please give us your name again and your address?
Dan Wilson, 30841 Zephyr Valley.
Thank you. All right, Bonnie?
Not prepared to say very much because I have to think about this a lot more. I noticed that in some of the information seen from others, that we have hundreds or maybe thousands of chemicals that have not been thoroughly tested on human health effects of their use. And the Minnesota Department of Ag, and with one of our statements I just read, we don't know the effects of the combined interaction of these chemicals. And when that is so unknown to us, I think we have to be very cautious in testing for pesticides in our drinking water, well water, in an area here where we have such poor geographical situations to filter out a number of these chemicals. That is very important for us, I think. And I'd like to see more testing for the pesticides in our drinking water. And Dr. Waters had done, that is his real name, Dr. Waters, from Wisconsin Dells, has given a lecture on the health effects of pesticides. And he would be a very good speaker for us to engage. He says that low amounts of each of these pesticides might lull us into thinking we're safe. But he says sometimes 1 + 1 + 1 is not 3, but that could equal, it could multiply into millions of effects. And it's there are so many of these chemicals, as I said, that are not thoroughly tested. And when people complain about this or that chemical becoming too prevalent in the water, what do? The manufacturers of these materials will maybe change the brand name and then think they've done something. But those chemicals that are involved are probably just put into another package. And then we're kind of lulled into thinking, oh, we've done something, or now we're safe, or something like that. Kind of reminds me of what you all know about is with Tylenol. More deaths are caused from Tylenol than any other medication. You know why? Because the active ingredient is present in many painkillers. And people don't know how much they're consuming of that active ingredient. Therefore, the body reaches its limit of protection by using up its antidote to that chemical.
Bonnie, your time is up. Can you please give us your full name and address, please?
Yes, Bonnie Wachensky, 1759 West Fifth Street, apartment 205.
Thank you very much. We have online, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher your name, so forgive me, Lynn Brewer. Please unmute, and Rachel will invite you to be able to provide your comment. We can't have a successful meeting without a tech issue, so we'll just wait for a second. 2 seconds. Seth, it doesn't appear that audio is connected, so. Not for us, but the commenter.
It looks like her sheets.
Okay. All right, with that, if you could, okay. All right, so we're at the end. We don't have any other speakers, so if others in the room would like to come up, or who haven't spoken already, or for folks that are online, just go ahead and put your name in the chat, and then Rachel will let me know. So we can invite you to provide your comments to the policy committee. Looks like there are no comments in the chat, Madam Chair, and it does not appear anybody's rushing down here to visit with me to sign in, so I'll turn the meeting back over to you. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak, make a comment during this public hearing? Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment during this public hearing? And for the third and final time, is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment during this public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Okay, is there a second?
Winters.
Winters seconds. Hearing, okay, we can now take a roll call vote. So Bob Schultz,
Yes.
Cheryl Winters,
Yes.
Barry Wilkie,
Yes.
Michelle Frisbee, Bob Walkus,
Yes.
Lynn Zabel, Chris Meyer,
Aye.
Bill Rokamp,
Yes.
and Pam Brady. The motion has officially closed the public hearing. And I think we will take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back here in 5 minutes, and that will be 7:05.
I would encourage anybody that hasn't picked up one of the executive summaries. It's an excellent overview. Certainly, you're welcome, and we would love it if you'd go through like all these comments and many pages. But if you don't have time for that, this is a really good resource. So I think they're on the back page.
Yeah, and we'll bring some more back there.
And the PDF online is searchable, so if you're looking for something specific, type it in and go see all of them. Good job, thanks.
Thank you.
Take advantage of that. Thank you. Yep.
See, man.
Oh.
Right. Yes, that you was keeping me. Yeah. Now call the WinLac Policy Committee meeting of January 26, 2023 to order. First, I'll take the roll call. So Bob Schultz,
Present.
Brian Mueller. He's not. Cheryl Winters is here. Jerry Wilkie,
Present.
Michelle Frisbee, Bob Walkus,
Present.
Lynn Zavo,
Present.
Pam Iden, present, Chris Meyer, present, and Bill Rokamp.
Present.
Well, you all have an agenda here. Are there any changes to the agenda? Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as printed in the packet? And Winters, a second. Okay, and a second from Cheryl Winters. All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying nay. The agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is the policy committee roles and elections. The policy committee has vacancies for both chair and vice chair. Current bylaws state that a replacement must be made at the next meeting after the vacancy. Does anyone have a nomination for the chair position? Meyer will nominate Cheryl Winter. I have a nomination. Are you willing to serve? Yes. Yes. Okay. Are there other nominations? Close the nominations. Do we have a motion to close the nominations?
Make a motion to close the nomination. Cast unanimous ballot.
All right. Bob Schultz moves that we close the nominations and cast an anonymous ballot for Cheryl Winters. All those in favor of Cheryl Winters serving as policy committee chair? Probably, yes.
Walker's.
Yes, probably, Walker's. Okay. Walker's has seconded that. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And, Cheryl?
I feel so
Winters.
popular. Unless you didn't ask the audience. But anyway.
It would be the same vote.
Yeah, you think? That's how I win all my elections. No one runs against me. All right. The next agenda item then is to approve the WinLac Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan.
No.
Well, sorry,
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I might leave and they might have to take over. Okay, sorry. Does anyone have a nomination for the Vice Chair? Anybody?
Meyer will nominate Lynn Zell.
Meyer has nominated Lynn Zabel for Vice Chair. Are you willing to serve as the Vice Chair? I mean, you're already right next to me. Hey, I got somewhere to go. No. Are there any other nominations?
I'll move nomination cease. Casting that,
Okay. We need a
I second that.
okay. Second, that the nomination ceased and we cast a unanimous ballot. All those in favor of Lynn Zabel serving as the committee vice chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Well, congratulations. Lynn Zabel is elected vice chair. The next agenda item is approve the WinLac Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. This evening, we received written and verbal comments on the draft plan. Do any policy committee members have any follow-up comments regarding the comments we received?
I do. I really appreciated hearing from the people that spoke tonight. And I just want to acknowledge that you were heard and the issues you brought up were indeed very, very serious. And we need to continue working on those issues. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Does anybody wish to respond to any specific comments that was made or any of our consultants? Have any response that needs to be made?
Well, I would agree with him that, and I think I speak for the committee that we appreciate all the input that we've had from the public. It means a lot to us. We will take it all into consideration and move forward.
I would like to tell you that I'm very impressed with the amount of knowledge in the audience here and in the folks that have commented already. It's very heartening to hear the amount of interest and knowledge. So thank you for coming and for sharing.
I will add too that I appreciate all the individuals that spoke, and not only this evening, but throughout the whole planning process. And we don't maybe have the perfect plan. We have a good plan, I feel, with a lot of time and effort put into it. And
thank everyone for all their input and throughout the whole process.
Said what I would say. Maybe it's not perfect, but we tried to do the best we could.
I had some orientation earlier and read through the documents and really read through all the comments. And I am grateful for the people in this setting and the county that care this much about water quality. What I think is that we can't let the perfect become the enemy of the good. That in the current framework that we are given from the state of Minnesota and the regulations that exist and the tools that we have, this is the plan that we can craft, and I want us to move forward with the plan and take the actions that we can.
Bob Schultz, from Houston County. I'm newer on this committee. I was just elected into the county commissioner seat. The watershed orientation that I took was very informative as well. I read through the different materials. I've been a river rat my whole life. Got the boathouse on the Mississippi. I've lived in the valley the same way. Township, where I was on the township board for a long time. And our water is very important to us. Concrete runs through my backyard. Drought. The work that the committee's done on this in the last 2 years, I have to commend you for the hard work. It looks very well. We aren't going to solve every problem and make it a perfect plan from what I've read. There is going to be more work to be done. Unless we start moving forward to solve a problem, we aren't going to get it solved. There are some very good points that were brought out here tonight that I jotted down both mentally and that I think that probably are going to be looked at further too. We have to keep moving forward. It's folks like you that help keep moving forward. Thank you for being here.
I would go along with that. And the one thing, water is the most important thing to life. I mean, it's just, it's the most important thing we have. And we have tried to put this together, and like Ron says, no, we can't think of everything, I guess, and I think we can move forward and keep at it and try to amend or whatever it takes. I mean, if we dismantle everything and start over, we just seems like kind of a lost cause. I think we've given it a good try, and we'll try some more.
Any other comments for policy? Okay, is there a motion to approve then the draft WinLac Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan for local board approval?
So moved.
Okay. Second, Bill. Okay. Does this need to be a roll call or can we?
I think we can miss you roll call vote, but it does need to be worded appropriately. Option one is what you said.
Yeah, so I'll just read this. To comply with the WinLac Memorandum of Agreement motion regarding draft approval appointment, there would be 3 options depending on discussions about the evening's comments. If there are no edits, were there any edits that anyone wanted to make? To the plan? Okay. None, I guess we don't need to go to 2 and 3, right? Okay.
So we need to word it
The way, yeah. So, Anne, would you like to would she be amending her motion or rewording it or? Who's the parliamentarian?
Read it.
There you go, here's your motion right there.
Okay, this is my motion. I move to recommend approval of the draft WinLac Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan be sent to participating boards and council before jointly submitting this plan to the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources for final review and approval.
So that's the formal wording of the motion. And we had a second, right? And is the second still in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. All right, hearing that then, let's take a vote. Those in favor of the motion to approve the plan, please answer by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, our watershed plan is approved. And we'll now go to the participating boards and councils for submission before it's to Bowser. All right, so our next agenda item then is meeting summary and next step. This evening at the public hearing, we received comments, both written and verbal, on the draft WinLac plan. The policy committee filled vacancies for chair and vice chair. Policy committee made a decision regarding the final draft WinLac plan. Our next steps include local board approval of the plan, approval of implementation, joint powers agreement. Did we do that? No, that's at the whole. Yeah. Okay. Our next meeting then is scheduled for Monday, February 13th, 2023, and that is at 9 a.m. Is that correct? Yes. It is also available online. And the link is on our website, or is it not available yet?
It'll be on the website.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
And a second. All right. Lynn Zabel has made a motion to adjourn. We've got a second. All in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Policy committee meeting is adjourned.